Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So folks, I got a bit of a question for you, especially for you negative Nancy Lions fans, especially for those that wanted to be doubters, especially for what I would like to call the Doubting Thomas Lions fans. Did what we see last night against in the Commanders and Packers game, did that finally wake you up? Did that finally get you to realize that what I've been talking about has not been a load of nonsense? Did that finally actually get you guys to start realizing, maybe David's not wrong at all? Or maybe, John Morton and Dan Campbell and Jared Goff and the rest of them are not wrong about where the Lions offense is? Because I want to tell you something. Last night on Thursday Night Football, the game with the Commanders and the Packers in Lambeau, if you watched that game, you will notice how that game was almost a carbon copy of exactly the exact same offensive performance that the Lions had against the Packers literally, and I mean this, literally only 4 days prior. Think about that. 4 days prior to that. Because, you had the game Sunday, so then Monday, so you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's 4 days. 4 days difference between the two games, and yet the Commanders had the exact same carbon copy performance that the Lions did. Not only did they perform the exact same way in performance, but they virtually performed the exact same way in terms of style. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. That Commanders offense last night, it looked like a shell of what it normally did. Which, oh my God, that is the exact same thing that you negative Nancys have been saying about the Detroit Lions offense under John Morton. It doesn't look at all like it normally does. It looks like a shell of what it normally does. I'm going to say this to prove the point that I have been saying all week. The Lions' offense is fine, despite what you negative Lions fans and the outside talking heads have been trying to sell all damn week. What you've been trying to sell is literally snake oil. It's fool's gold. Now, I know some are going to say that I'm just creating a narrative because I don't want to accept the reality that the offense actually sucks. Well, let me put it to you this way. If that was the case, the Commanders' offense should not have produced or looked ridiculously similar in not only, as I said, production to what the Lions did in Week 1, but also in style and in performance. Because again, what did the Commanders do for the majority of that game? They had to check it down. They had to do a dink and dunk style of offense. Gee whiz, that's the exact same style of offense that the Lions had to do in Week 1. But here's the problem with that. Here's the massive problem with that whole thought process. And I'm going to tell you what it is. Oh, wait a minute here. Jared Goff is not Jaden Daniels. John Morton is sure as hell not Cliff Kingsbury if you listen to all these negative Nancys that want to see John Morton fired after one game. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. You want to know what the Commanders' offense did last night in terms of production? Here's what they did as far as a team. They had 15 first downs, 10 by passing, 3 by rushing, 2 from penalties. They were 5 for 16 in third down conversions. They were 1 for 3 in fourth down conversions. They ran 65 total offensive plays. They had 230 total yards. They had 11 drives, and they were 3.5 yards per play. Keep those numbers in mind because what did the Lions do as I just said, only 4 days prior. 4 freaking days prior. 16 first downs, 13 passing, 2 by rush, 1 from penalty. They were 5 of 15 in third down conversion. They were 3 of 4 in fourth down conversion. 65 total plays, 246 total yards, 9 drives for 3.8 yards per play. My freaking God. Damn. Isn't that almost a mere image of what the Lions did? The only thing that is different is that, one, the Lions actually were a much higher conversion percentage in terms of fourth down because they converted 3 out of 4, whereas the Commanders only converted 1 out of 3. And on top of that, the Lions had 2 less overall total drives to work with, but yet they still had more first downs total, they had more passing first downs total, and they had more total yards. And they had a higher yards per play average. Again, not by much, but it's still better. So think about that. Because if the argument was that, oh, you know what, and I know this is the argument because I've been arguing against it all damn week, if the argument from these distrusting Lions fans, these negative Nancy Lions fans, and all the talking heads was actually correct, it literally just fell massively apart. Because the whole argument has been that, oh, well, John Morton is just not a good offensive coordinator. He's boring. He's predictable. He's not exciting. He's not creative. Well, wait a minute here. John Morton comes into this whole new situation with the offense. He's building relationships. He's getting the offense up to speed. He's doing all the things that he's supposed to be doing. So he's brand new. Well, wait a minute here. Who's the offensive coordinator for the Commanders? Oh, that's right. That's Cliff Kingsbury. One of the most, exciting, creative play callers in the NFL. Was the same way in college if you listen to all the people. And yet, last night, wait a minute, that was not his first rodeo with the Commanders because, oh, that's right, he was there last year. So wait a minute here. Cliff Kingsbury was there last year. He's supposedly way more creative, way more exciting, all of these things that John Morton isn't, but yet John Morton's offense with the Detroit Lions actually performed better than his did in terms of actual production. The only difference that, Cliff Kingsbury's offense did in comparison to the Lions is they scored, wait for it, drum roll, 5 more points. That's all they were able to muster more than the Lions. With a first-year offensive coordinator in that brand new system, they got 5 more points than we did. Which, by the way, Cliff Kingsbury also had, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I'm not, wasn't Jaden Daniels the offensive rookie of the year last year? Just saying. But I just want to put this out there. Cliff Kingsbury has had a reputation for quite a while for being a very creative play caller and, all the things that, supposedly these Lions fans that have wanted to be so negative about John Morton and the offense by saying, oh, well, we just need to go back to the offense that Ben Johnson ran because that was better. I'm just going to say this right now. If Cliff Kingsbury, pardon me, if his offense couldn't do much better, if at all any better, except scoring 5 more points better than the Lions somehow, after one game, boring, predictable offense, it wouldn't have made a damn bit of difference if the Lions had gone back to Ben Johnson's offense. Because, oh, wait for it, like I've been saying, it's not the offensive scheme, it's the player's execution. My God. Ain't that a whiz to just absolutely know that that's how it's supposed to be done? Ain't that a whiz to just know that what I've been saying, what the coaches have been saying, actually is the truth? Because here's the other thing about this. Oh, everybody wants to talk about how, well, the offensive line didn't perform very well. Which, you know what? Yeah, it didn't. But the Lions had 2 starting rookies on that offensive line because, oh, that's right, Mahogany, even though he's not a rookie, he only played in, 2 games last year? And then, oh, that's right, Tate Ratledge is a rookie. You want to know how many rookies on the offensive line that the Commanders had last night? They had one, which was a first-round draft pick for this year who was their left tackle. Other than that, everybody else had at least one full year of starting experience at some other point, or had been in the league for multiple years before that game. So, not even close. So I want you all negative Nancys, all you negative Lions fans, to try and explain to me how Cliff Kingsbury, with the Offensive Rookie of the Year in Jaden Daniels, how with all of these weapons that they have, because, oh, that's right, they have, Terry McLaurin, they have Deebo Samuel, they have Zach Ertz, they have all of these offensive playmakers, how their supposed offense, which should have done way, way better than what the Lions did week one, they weren't able to do virtually any better. In fact, in a lot of ways, they did worse. Because now let's compare the quarterbacks here for a minute. Everybody has wanted to hound Goff because he's slow. He's a limiting quarterback for an offense because he can't run or he can't extend plays. Well, you can't use that argument against Jaden Daniels. Can't even come close to using that argument. Not a chance in hell. But yet, here's the funny part about that. While Jaden Daniels is the exact opposite in that whole thought process, Jaden Daniels' performance last night as a passer was again worse than Jared Goff's performance from week one. And again, only one rookie offensive lineman in front of him where Goff had two. And the same offensive coordinator where Jared Goff had a new offensive coordinator. Gee, now ain't that a coinky-dink? Because what did Jaden Daniels do last night against the Packers? What were his stats? Here's what his stats were. He was 24 of 42 for 57.1 completion percentage rate, 200 yards dead even, 4.8 an average a throw. He had 2 passing touchdowns to no interceptions, so that's pretty damn good. But his passer rating, an 85.4 with a 26.9 putrid QBR. Just going to put that out there, folks. That ain't good. Because you want to know what Jared Goff's stats were? Oh, this is what they were. Jared Goff's stats, the immobile, statuesque quarterback that can't do damn near anything. He is absolutely a dinosaur. He was 31 of 39 for 79.5 completion percentage rate, 225 yards, 5.8 an average a throw, 1 touchdown, did have 1 interception, but had an 88.6 passer rating with a 61.4 QBR. Y'all notice something there? Goff outplayed Daniels in almost every single imaginably possible way except that Goff had the interception and he had 1 less touchdown throw. But wait a minute here. Goff had a completion percentage rate that was 22.4% higher than Jaden Daniels. He threw 25 more yards on top of that than Jaden Daniels. Also had a whole yard higher in terms of his average per throw. And he had a higher passer rating that was 1.2 points higher. And had a absolutely ridiculous 34.5 points higher QBR. And I also want to point that out too, the QBR. Notice how the QBR absolutely jumped drastically. Because before that game last night, Goff's QBR was at a 52.8? Now it's jumped all the way up to a 61.4. That's almost a 10-point jump. Why is that the case? Well, wait a minute here. Could it possibly be that Jaden Daniels' performance against the Packers was actually so bad that because of how Goff actually performed, they had to readjust the metric because they're like, well, damn, if Jaden Daniels, being the type of quarterback that he is, extremely mobile, extremely athletic, all that happy nonsense, he was not able to perform anywhere near as close as to what Goff was able to perform because, like I said, 22.4% lower in terms of completion percentage rate. That right there ought to tell you something. The offense is fine. Jared Goff is fine. John Morton is fine. They are just learning things out because, again, if Cliff Kingsbury, with the Offensive Rookie of the Year last year, they were not able to do any better than the Lions, and again, in most ways were less better, or sorry, not less better, they were less able to perform, man, oh man, just absolute Jehoshaphat. That right there just tells me that I was right. I've been trying to get you guys to see this all damn week. And how many of you wanted to absolutely crucify my ass in the comments because, oh, I'm just being slappy. I don't want to acknowledge the reality. I don't want to actually acknowledge what actually the truth is. Well, after last night, I think the truth just became resoundingly, brutally clear that Goff, Morton, Campbell, and myself were right about this offense versus all the negative talking heads, negative podcasters, and all you negative Lions fans out there that wanted to say, no, the offense is just terrible. We need to tear it all down because it just sucks. Right. Keep thinking that way if you want to. Because, let me put this out there for y'all. Jared Goff, who actually is a top 5 quarterback, that's right, he outplayed that Offensive Rookie of the Year and did it with a new coordinator, unlike the Offensive Rookie of the Year last year, who had, had the same coordinator and did so with a more creative, more, exciting offensive caller than John Morton was. That's rather interesting. And even the rushing attack was no better for the Commanders last night. Because you want to know what their grand total offensive rushing attack was when you take Jaden Daniels out of the equation? They had 12 rushes for 34 yards for a 2.8 average. Almost exactly the same as the Lions because they ran the ball 20 times for 44 yards for a 2.2 average. So how come then the Commanders' whiz-kid offensive coordinator couldn't produce better since he is oh so much better than John Morton? How come, Jaden Daniels' mobility didn't possibly open up more opportunities for the Commanders' rushing attack to find its ground, to find its legs? Could it possibly be that Morton and Goff are not as bad as many of you negative Nancys have been saying all week? Which I have been fighting tooth and damn nail over to try and get you to realize that. Because all you wanted to say was, I didn't know a damn thing. I was just being a blind loyalist to the Lions, and you know what? I didn't want to accept reality. Well, here's the damn truth that you guys have not been wanting to acknowledge. What you saw on television was exactly that. What you saw on television, it's not the whole truth, and I've been trying to get you guys to see that. Because again, the Commanders only scored 5 more points than what we did last night. 5 more points, despite that offense having all those things that were supposedly better than the Lions. They had a more mobile quarterback, a more explosive quarterback. They had the same amount of receiving options because, that's right, they had Terry McLaurin, they had, Deebo Samuel, they had Zach Ertz, so they had a pretty good, receiving core option. So again, they should have, by all thought process and logic, compared to what you guys have been saying all week, they should have absolutely, put up points in bunches. But yet they only put up 5 more points. 5. And finally, I'm just going to point this out too, because this was actually kind of rather interesting in my opinion. There's a similar situation also between the Lions and the Commanders in terms of their productions from their tight ends. Take a look at what Laporta did last week. Laporta had 6 catches on 9 targets for 79 yards for a 13.2 average. That's pretty damn respectable. That's a very respectable game number line. Whereas Zach Ertz, for the Commanders last night, 6 catches on 8 targets for 64 yards with a 10.7 average, and he also had a touchdown reception. So quite literally, the Commanders' offense, despite having almost every clear, distinct advantage over the Lions, that you negative Nancys literally wanted to just absolutely pick apart all throughout this week, the Commanders literally, and I do mean this literally, their offense almost followed the exact same storyline that the Lions did. Because, that's right, how did the Commanders' scoring go? First half, they scored 3, count them, 3 points. They had 1 field goal. They then scored all of their remaining points in the fourth quarter. So, before they got to the fourth quarter, they had scored 3 measly damn points. Which, wait a minute here, the Lions had scored 6 points in the first half and then scored their only touchdown in the fourth quarter. Man sakes alive, that sounds very damn similar now, doesn't it? And then, if y'all want to think that, oh, well, maybe I'm just overplaying this, back the hell up. This is the same Commanders team that last year was the 5th highest scoring offense with 485 points to the Lions' number 1 scoring offense with 564. The Commanders had a score drive percentage of 50%, and that was only second to the Lions' score drive percentage of 51.6. Yet in every discernible way, the Commanders played worse offensively than the Lions did last week because they had all the advantages. They don't have 2 offensive rookies on their offensive line. They have all the offensive weapons that they have. They have a mobile, explosive quarterback. They have a whiz-kid at offensive coordinator. Oh, and you want to know what also advantage they had? They had the game tape from the Lions 4 days prior. They had that game tape, so they had seen what the Lions had tried to do, and yet despite that, they themselves could not do any better. So I'm going to just put this out there. Do you negative Nancy's actually think that, being absolutely wrong, you deserve to give some apologies to some folks? Like, I don't know, John Morton, Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, just to name a few? Because if you're going to want to try and use that entire argument you've been using all week, and then go based off of the performance that the Commanders gave last night, you would be dead ass wrong. And all week, I tried to stop you from continuing on this path, and you guys all pretty much, without actually doing it, with some of your comments, you literally flew me the bird. Pretty much said, screw you, David, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Screw you, Campbell, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Screw you, Goff, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Screw you, John Morton, you definitely don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's literally what you did all damn week. With the constant negativity and just absolutely just wanted to say, no, we know better as fans. You're wrong, we're right, you need to change. Last night's game proved that one to be emphatically wrong. And I think y'all need to back away from the ledge and realize you don't know nearly as much as you think you do. I'm not even saying I know that much, but I knew, and I say this now as my evidence all throughout the week, that what you guys were trying to put out there about this Lions offense was absolutely wrong. And I tried my dead level best to get you all to recognize it. And most of y'all pretty much told me, you don't know jack crap, David. We ain't gonna listen. Well, now there's even more evidence out there that shows that Goff, Campbell, Morton, and myself, we were right. And we're going to see just how much more we're right, or maybe not right, when we play Sunday against the Bears. We'll just see. But anyway, I've said my piece. I'm going to end this episode. And having said, I just want to say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these 3 things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed to the past, you forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage you all, please, to make sure you hit that bell notification icon. Also, if you subscribed from sometime way back and you forgot to do so at the time as well, please make sure you do that. Again, I hope you all have something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. Until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.